Okay, so we've smelled the wine. What's the next thing? Well, we have to taste it. And of course that means putting it in our mouth. And when we do that, there's a couple of things that really we need to do as well. And one of them is we have like sensors all through our mouth that detect different things. So we detect touch. How does the wine feel? In other words, is it viscous? Is it thin? Is it hot from the alcohol? Does it have a lot of tannins? Even temperature. What's the temperature of the wine? These are all things that we get by putting it in our mouth. And so we want to make sure that we coat the entire surface of our mouth when we do that. So when I take a sip of this, the first thing I'll do is I'll swish it around. And that kind of coats all the surfaces of the mouth. We have taste buds on our tongue. We also have taste buds all over our mouth. And so I'll do that. And then the next thing is I'll kind of tip my head forward and I'll aspirate that wine sample in my mouth. So I kind of draw in some air and it makes it bubble. And in doing that, it draws air through it and it brings out a whole bunch of more aromas and smells inside my mouth. And you go, okay, what the heck's that all about? Simple test. If you're eating and you go like this and plug your nose, not only do you talk funny, but you can't taste anything. Or if you have a cold, the same thing can happen. So what I want to do is kind of do the opposite thing where I draw in a lot of air and instead of plugging my nose, I'm actually going to breathe out my nose a little bit, and that will allow those vapors that are in my mouth to go out through my nose, and they'll impact the sense of smell, which is located right about there. So I'll do that now. At that point, if I was in class and not sitting in my house, which I am right now, I probably would have spit that out. In other words, I suck it in, or I sip it, I suck air into it, and then I turn around and spit it out. Why do I do that? Well, when you're doing sensory evaluation, we have to remember, and I do want you to remember this, that this is a job. This is serious stuff. And so we can't be drinking on the job. So we put it in our mouth, we swish it around, we aspirate it to get all those nice volatile aromas kind of activated, and then you turn and you spit it into your spit cup. And that way, after 5 wines or so, you're still, able to sit here and kind of function in a normal way. If you start swallowing everything pretty soon, well, the first thing that happens is you just don't care. You don't really care what you do next. And so this is why we spit, and I encourage it actually if you're doing any kind of serious tasting that you do spit the wine out after you taste it. So back to the wine. I have tasted it, and I put it in my mouth, I've kind of swished it around, I've aspirated it, and I'm picking up a whole lot more sensation from it, a whole lot more flavors and a whole lot more aromas in the mouth, as well as the mouthfeel. And it's probably been, what, a minute or so since I did this, and I can still taste the wine in my mouth. So in some way it's still, even though I swallowed it, which I know we talked about, but I can still taste it. And that kind of lingering aftertaste is called the finish. And wine is judged by its finish. So if a wine has a nice long finish, then we can say, oh, good finish. And we really kind of sit there, over time and go, yeah, I can still taste it. So right now I'm still tasting like this beautiful kind of vanilla, some really nice black raspberry, blackberry, black currant fruit, tiny bit of oak coming in, maybe a little bit of even like coffee or chocolate, some dark chocolate. I mean, such nice flavors in this. And so finish then, it's like, we sit here and we smell it, and people will spend minutes just smelling the glass of the wine. And then we taste it in our mouth, and we roll it around, and we appreciate the texture of it, like the tannins, the grip, how it kind of coats your gums and coats the roof of your mouth. A pleasant situation, and actually if it's a good wine. If the tannins aren't quite ripe or quite there, then Yeah, it's kind of green, and the astringency might go into bitterness, and we kind of cringe and go, "Oh, rough wine," not very good. But in this case, it's not. It's very smooth, nice tannins. They coat the gums really kind of cleanly and pleasant feeling. So that's textural. The alcohol's obviously it's got a fair bit of alcohol, but it's not super high, so it doesn't burn. But it's a good balance between them. Nice mouthfeel, so it's got a good viscosity to it, a little bit creamy. So these are the touch sensations. And then there's taste sensations. So is it sweet? A little bit of sweetness to it. Not that to say that it's sugary sweet, but it's got like fruity sweetness, and alcohol lends some sweetness to it. So sweet is a taste of, or a sense of taste, and it certainly has that. There's a little bit of acid, but not excessive. So we've got acid, we've got sugar, two taste sensations. Not much saltiness. I always say if you're tasting saltiness in the wine, you're drinking the cooking wine and you need to go seek help. So be aware of that. Not really any discernible bitterness, so the tannins are really nice and what we call supple, good feel to them. That's taste. We talked about touch. We talked about smell, that what they call retronasal sense of smell. In other words, it goes up through the back of the mouth and hits your nose in that way. And those three factors combined, touch, taste, and retronasal sense of smell, is what makes up flavor. And so flavor then in this course will be defined as the combination of like the oral experience, to put a nice, how a technical sounding name, the oral experience of taste, touch, and smell in the wine. So it's got good flavor, we can say that. It's got a really nice finish. Even now, it's been some time, I can still feel that wine. I can still get the aromatics from it. So the flavor is still kind of lingering. And, I'd have to say that my overall assessment of this wine, and that would include, the balance, is everything in balance. The alcohol, the fruitiness, the sweetness, the acid, the bitterness, the astringency, everything kind of works together to make a really smooth feeling, full-bodied, very enjoyable wine. So we talk about balance then, how each of those components work together, and in this case they work very well. So it's a very, again, a very nice wine. I can't complain about it. Someone gave it to me, that's even better. So this is sensory evaluation. It sounds like it should be something different than it is, and really it is that simple. It's just using our senses to evaluate a product, in this case wine, in a way that allows us to make some determination of the quality of it. So quality in this case refers to any of those things we've talked about. What does it smell? What is the feel, the touch of it? What does it taste like? This is all qualities of the wine. I'm not making a judgment on whether they're good or bad necessarily. I'm just saying these are what the qualities are. And this is where sensory evaluation comes in. It allows us, using our senses, to make these determinations.